nobody gives this young man the respect he deserves. We put out all this evidence into the media. It's going viral right now because people are sharing it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I put all this evidence out into the media for Mike Brown, it was like the top story in the news for 4 days straight. Why isn't KJ?
Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watch or Pass, and today I'm here to interview Jason Pollock, the director of Finding Kendrick Johnson, which is a documentary that's available digitally and on demand now. We're going to talk to Jason in just a second, but first, let's check out the trailer. And while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. It helps me out a lot. Thank you.
I can't do this. I cannot do this.
911, where's your emergency?
Yes, I'm calling. My son had come home from school. Kendrick Johnson.
You know, she said, have you heard from Kendrick? 12 o'clock, I knew he was dead.
The body had been moved. The scene, in my opinion, had been compromised.
When they said he climbed inside the bed to get the shoes, I already knew that was a lie.
Body parts are missing, evidence is missing.
And we tested it and it was blood. Now we did DNA testing and it was not the blood of Kendrick Johnson.
If it wasn't Kendrick blood, who blood was it?
Supporters for Kendrick's family are calling for a Department of Justice investigation.
What do you want? Justice!
The Johnsons and their supporters now hope the FBI will get an answer to what happened to Kendrick Johnson.
If KJ had been white, we wouldn't have had to make this film.
So anyways, really nice to see you and hear you, Dave.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you, Jason. Thanks so much for joining me.
Really excited to talk to you, and thank you for the review.
Oh yeah, of course.
Well, honestly, like the documentary thing, I'm much more of I see myself as an artist,
mm-hmm.
first and foremost, not an activist. And like, as an artist, I'm interested in a lot of different things. The documentary stuff, the medium of documentary as an artist came into my life when I started when I was Michael Moore's executive assistant.
Okay.
And made Fahrenheit 9/11 with him. And then that medium really embedded in me, and obviously felt like, okay, I can really explore this medium. But, you know, as an artist, like always thinking of my work as art, we're in a world of journalists, wannabe whatevers, activists want to be filmmakers, journalists want to be filmmakers, journalists want to be activists, activists want to be journalists. Like, I'm none of those things.
Yeah.
I'm an artist. The film is a piece of art. And that's why it feels different.
And I think that's a really important comment because, I mean, you know, it is a documentary. There's a lot of facts. There's a lot of information. But at the end of the day, you still need someone to kind of go on the journey with you. And you could have a documentary that has a bunch of very interesting information, but if it's not put together in a compelling way, or at least kind of leads the viewer along and gives them enough information at a time so they can digest it, then it's not going to hit with them, or people are going to turn it off early. And so it is an important point that it's not just a film about facts. Like, there is a lot of artistic content in this film, from the music to just the usage of the clips and how they're put together, and also the awesome paintings that are throughout that kind of help to depict some of the things that you don't have footage from, or might be too sensitive to have footage from. You've got artistic renditions to help the viewer kind of visualize that.
Yeah, and I just think like like from an architectural standpoint, like the pacing,
mm-hmm.
the way it feels, you know, the way we cut it, you know, and like this whole docuseries thing going on right now, to me, I'm not that interested in it because I feel like they're all these elongated rough cuts. And I watch 8 hours and I think to myself, wow, I can make a kick-ass 90 minutes that would really blow people's minds and actually be more impactful. And the sad reality is I would get no money to do that from Hollywood. But if I gave them 8 long hours, then they cut you a huge check to work with their studio, you know, if they get final cut and da-da-da. And like, you know, I like making independent films so I could tell the story the way I feel the family needs it to be told. And the media has failed these families. They're in the position that they're in because of the media. And my art is very much made outside of all of that, basically. And that's why it can retain its existence the way we need it to, instead of, well, let's hear about what all the other side is thinking. Because a lot of the time that other side is just fake news. There's like truth, and then let's hear what the white people have to say. But like, that's just like lies, actually. Why are you even entertaining that? But mainstream media is constantly doing that and then saying that they're giving us a fair shake. Well, if you're giving us a fair shake, then why did a broke filmmaker have to find this evidence for you all?
I think that was going to be a later question, but I think that's an important point. I mean, I think I said in the review, but I think the biggest kind of, other than obviously the death of Mr. Johnson, that was the biggest tragedy. But then seeing this family and seeing the journey that they had to go through just to get not even answers, but just people to pay attention was kind of, it was heart-wrenching, because they had to go through so much more than anyone should just to get a simple investigation, to get like some simple facts from this case.
And we're still dealing with that too. Like, nobody gives this young man the respect he deserves. We put out all this evidence into the media. It's going viral right now because people are sharing it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I put all this evidence out into the media for Mike Brown, it was like the top story in the news for 4 days straight. Why isn't KJ? Why aren't the same journalists talking about him? Because the cachet isn't enough for you? You don't think you'll get as many clicks and views on it? This isn't enough of a trending topic for you? I found an unredacted FBI report. That should be the top headline in the news. Georgia media hasn't even written an article about it yet.
Oh, wow.
Because nobody gives this case the respect it deserves. So we're still fighting exactly what you just said.
And so I guess that is, I was going to ask about what the reaction has been like, but it sounds like it's been trending, but maybe not in the ways that might give the family more answers. Like it's out there, but it's not in a way that might.
Well, let me say yesterday the Associated Press announced that we were in the top. We were number 8 for all indie movies on Apple right now.
Oh, wow.
And that hit the wire. That hit the wire. So like that, it doesn't matter if they're writing about it. We are the biggest documentary in America right now. And everybody knows it. The people that aren't writing about it because they have ulterior motives. One, it embarrasses them. It embarrasses you. You want to be able to tell your audience that you broke this story, but you didn't. Jason did. But you can't stop the break of the story because he's number 8 on iTunes now. So like, we're just going to keep pushing it down their throats. Like, NBC News covered it right when it came out. They did a huge piece on it. And it's been steadily going viral. It's kind of just organically exploding because I think that the number of people that care about this young man for 8 years is enormous. And they've just been waiting for this. And we've been undercover for 4 years and we didn't want to say anything to protect it. So literally nobody knew about it until the day before it came out. That was all very much to just protect what we've been working on.
And that makes sense. And I think what this case has that maybe some of the other, racial justice cases or, deaths don't have. This one has a lot of mystery, which, you would think would help fuel some more speculation. Because I think people want the other ones, you kind of know what happened. There's video of it and people just want justice. They want, the person to be made whole. But here, like, you don't even know what happened. I mean, there's a lot of very contradictory evidence and a lot of, things that weren't explored, but there still is not a very definitive answer of what happened to Kendrick. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. And I also think that's like the power of the film, because it was incredibly difficult to create this film and show the truth. Mm-hmm. Like, no spin. This is what's happening right now. And the way you just described it, that is what's happening right now. And so everybody's trying to put out these conspiracy theories and all this stuff. I'm not about that. I'm about showing the public the facts
this is what's going on for Jackie Johnson today. And I think if you watch it, you know how Jackie Johnson feels today. And like everybody needs to feel that right now in America, in this incredibly racist country. They all need to feel what Jackie Johnson is going through today. So that's why I think like the film is just it's already one of the biggest documentaries of the year. And I think at the end of the day, it will be one of the biggest documentaries of the year. Stranger Fruit was one of the biggest documentaries of the year when it came out. And the crazy part is that I do this all myself and mostly get rejected by all of Hollywood that still doesn't see the vision. Like every network rejected this. And yet now we have 20 theaters with Gravitas and we're lining up a huge TV deal. So like, nobody really knows what they're talking about. It took 4 years to get the film out, really. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Gravitas finally kind of got this film out there. And I know that they've been doing a lot of independent films, a lot of digital films. And it's really amazing that you're going to then go, I think must be very rare to go digital release and then have a theatrical run, after that is a testament to the film itself.
Yeah. To get the 20 theaters from Gravitas was like a dream come true as a filmmaker. And they're giving us the opportunity to carefully schedule them within our run so that each engagement really works with the family. We're going to carefully plan each theatrical engagement with local families who are like KJ's family and make it really special for each community. So it's just an amazing gift from Gravitas. A dream come true as a filmmaker. I definitely cried when I found out I got 20 screens.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm gonna cry about it now.
I mean, it's an accomplishment. You worked a long time and
4 years of just so much struggle. So gratifying.
And I love hearing that you're going to coordinate with kind of like local families, because maybe this series, tour, whatever you want to call it, could then bring more cases to light, or have some more people meet to start advocating for other unsolved, mysterious deaths and things like that you could at least shine some more lights on this topic.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that the work I've been doing is doing that. And after breaking the Mike Brown case in Ferguson and living in Ferguson during the war, I got connected with all the families. There's a very close family network of these families nationwide. And that's how I met Jackie from being in Ferguson. And so it's a very powerful family network that's always ready to rally for each other. And they all rallied for the Brown family for Stranger Fruit. And I'm sure they'll rally for the Johnson family. It's a turnkey system, kind of, these families. Nobody understands the pain that they're in except for each other. So they're very strong knit. And a lot of people thought I was going to do a more famous case after Mike Brown. And everyone in Hollywood kept saying to me like, oh, if you had done this or that, it would have sold already. And it's like, that's so pathetically sad to me that's the thinking. It's not a big of a trending topic for you, but to me, KJ was the most important case because of the depth of the pain that his family was going through. And the story really needed more light. And I wanted to try to do something like, with great power comes great responsibility, I guess. And like the Johnson family really needed this. And so I think that's why it might be bigger than anything, basically, because this is like something that a lot of people actually haven't heard of yet. And it's something that everybody needs to know about. And he really is the Emmett Till of our time. Everybody knows who Emmett Till is. So if the film can help elevate him like that into history, then the film is the film is already history because I cracked the Kendrick Johnson case. That's just the way it is. Nobody in the state of Georgia did it. Jason did it last week. So if anybody writes the story of Kendrick Johnson and doesn't put that in, it's because they're creating their own narrative for themselves, basically, because Jason just cracked the case. And there's a lot of clout chasers in Georgia right now trying to like run around this family, make money off of KJ. No one has permission to be doing it. I'm the only one with permission from the family, exclusive permission. All these people trying to call networks behind their back, make deals about just like how much money can Hollywood suck off the death of this young man, basically. And now that we're so big, we're seeing all these crazy things happen and behind our backs. And so we're just trying to stay focused on the film because the narrative is finally correct for him. And the narrative has never been correct for him, which is why it's taken this long. White media always tries to add like what I call whataboutism, which is this propaganda technique used in Russia by Putin. But it's basically like white media's like number one ploy when a black person is dead or when they're accused of something, when Trump, what about this? What about that? So that's what they've been doing to this family. And when you watch the documentary, there's none of that. So that must really be bothering the racist white people because like now there's this piece out. It doesn't have all their confusing information in it. And now you can just really see the truth of what happened with the facts.
Well, I think that this case is so compelling. I think because it's a terrible situation, and you know it just seems like that shouldn't have ever happened. But then you have like the first instance where you've got like the rolled up gym mat, and then you've got like KJ's shoulders, and you're like it just doesn't work like that. You know, you can just look at that and know that something else must have gone on, and the whole explanation for why he might have gone in there to get a shoe and then didn't say anything and didn't just like move this gym out, which is probably heavy, but he seems like he was a kid that was in pretty good shape. He could probably at least have moved it to get his shoe if it had fallen down there for some reason. Like the whole explanation is, I don't want to say laughable, but I mean it just doesn't really compute when you kind of think about some of the strained explanation that they've got.
Exactly. And I think that Valdosta hasn't wanted this story to get as big as it is now.
Yeah.
Because this story shows how unbelievably racist the people in Valdosta are. How could anybody accept this as truth? And yet they did, and they're just living their lives 8 years later. All these kids, these young black teenagers that are at the high school right now, everybody knows something happened. Like how are they existing down there like this? Which is why I felt like it was so important for this to come out with just the facts and not like pointing a finger, but just saying, look, Valdosta, get it together. Like somebody needs to come out, tell us what happened. We need to move on from this. Your town doesn't want to live with this curse for the next 50 years, like the lady that finally admitted what happened to Emmett Till. You know, like, why do we have to do it like this in this country? Why do these white people have to hold these secrets for 50 years? The system allows them to, is the problem.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's kind of obvious from this documentary. That seems like silence has just worked for the last, I forget how long it's been, 8 years. Yeah, 8 years.
He was found dead in 2013. Yeah. So almost not. It's 8.5 years now. No family would be fighting like this.
No, I mean that was I think the most powerful thing about this is just seeing his family and everything they went through. Just to get someone to even look at the case. I mean, it's
just to even see the body.
Yeah.
Remember, like they had to have a press conference to see the body, to see their son's body it took 3 days, I think.
And then they had to hire their own medical examiner to do an autopsy, which is, I mean, I can't imagine that was cheap and it must have been emotionally draining and financially draining. So like that, just the ordeal that they had to go through is striking.
That's right. In the film, you see that Jackie Johnson exhumes her son 2 times.
Yeah.
That means that you have 3 burials for your child because you bury them once and then you bury them after each exhumation. She's buried her child 3 times.
Yeah.
So anybody that thinks that racism isn't very real in this country, just watch the story of Kendrick Johnson and let's talk. I think that's why I just felt like it was really important. Now, while all these people think that, oh, we're getting over racism, we got past Trump. No. Like, there are a lot of very racist Democrats. Everybody has to deal with the race issue still,
And so speaking of everybody, one thing I'm wondering is what can people do if they want to kind of support the film, support KJ's family? What can people do to kind of raise awareness? Is it just sharing about it, writing reviews? Like, how can people get the word out and try to help get justice to the Johnson family?
Yeah, so basically, like, for me, the most important thing actually for getting justice for KJ is the film going as viral as possible right now, because the film going as viral as possible right now creates a national conversation. Mm-hmm. And we need to have a national conversation around KJ, not a state of Georgia conversation around KJ, because the state of Georgia has failed KJ and will continue to fail KJ. So our goal is to create a national conversation around KJ so that he's on the tip of everyone's tongue. If we could talk about the Tiger King this much, we should be talking about Kendrick Johnson this much, and we're going to work to gain that critical mass in the culture for him. If you think about it, we've only been out for 10 days. Because of the way that we did not do a pre-order, we did not do a pre-release, we did not do anything, we didn't even talk about it. We didn't want to talk about it. So think about how much we've grown in 10 days. I get the chills. Like, before, what I do on the side is like run social media campaigns, right? So like, when you're an artist, you gotta make money. Yeah. So like for 12 years, basically, I've been helping artists run their social media campaigns. I did it for Ashton Kutcher and Oprah's company, Michael Moore's movies, David Letterman. And so now I get to run these campaigns for like my films, but like really good causes. And it's great to, again, use these skills that are for these high budget, big advertisement brands on something really good. And we're only 10 days in, but you can see how integrated this has been, how big it is. Where will we be in October, November, December? And the gang of six, the congressional leaders that care about these issues need to see the movie. And in my opinion, we need to have a congressional oversight committee look into the Kendrick Johnson case in DC. It's not going to happen in Georgia. So we're going to keep that discussion going. We're starting a website, findingkendrickjohnson.com, to kind of be a hub around that. People are going to see us pushing with the family, doing those types of things. But we're seeing this now as a political film campaign, basically using the film as a way to push the politicians to do the right thing. It doesn't matter how many celebrities support Kendrick Johnson right now. We need political power. We need real political power to move the needle. And so to do that, our goal is to make KJ so big in the culture that they can't ignore it anymore, basically. So that's how it's like, well, what do we need to do? We need to make this go viral. This needs to be the biggest documentary of the year. If it's the biggest documentary of the year, we'll get the political power we need. It's kind of a simple equation.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And so the documentary is Finding Kendrick Johnson. It's available digitally on demand. You can rent it or buy it, or it's coming to theaters. It might be coming near you. Just keep tabs on it. And thank you so much for your time, and thanks for making the documentary. It's a fascinating one.
Really appreciate your support and the time today. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what comes next. So we'll give you an update on anything you want soon.
That sounds perfect. Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
That was Jason Pollock, the director of Finding Kendrick Johnson, which is available digitally and on demand. It's difficult to watch, but I think it's an important thing to see, just to see the hurdles that this family, had to overcome for justice, and they're still fighting. So I think it's something that is definitely interesting and timely, and something that should be checked out. If you like this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.